I'm Alison Misselhorn, Executive Director of PeacePlayers South Africa. So we've been thrilled to host the annual Girls Basketball Festival ahead of National Women's Day, or just after National Women's Day. It's just been so exciting to see the energy that's been in that room all day. We've been going since 7, 8 o'clock this morning, and the girls have been excited, they've been engaged, and it's fabulous to see a diverse number of children coming together as well. So we've been very, very happy with the day and how it's gone. We've just wrapped up. PeacePlayers is very proud to bring children from diverse backgrounds together, from different races, different socioeconomic groups, and different genders. In particular in South Africa, it's fabulous to see girls being empowered through sport, girls learning to lead, girls learning to believe in themselves, and today exemplifies that.
Hello everyone, I've really enjoyed this day, honestly, ever since we arrived with my team. I mean, I got an opportunity to meet new people, new friends, and actually build self-confidence and learn new skills and actually see basketball for what it is and actually develop myself and my team. And we always live together, we play together, and it's really important to get to know new people and actually and broaden your mind in what basketball actually is. And basketball is literally more than just a sport. It's way beyond, and it literally opens many opportunities for you. And I literally enjoy the accommodation of PeacePlayers, and it has been a really fun evening. And you know, never let negative thoughts from people come inside of you or break your self-confidence, and always be confident, work hard, push yourself, and you got this. Work hard and never let people judge you, because we've all been hurt, we've all been bullied, judged, have made countless mistakes on courts, but we actually build and improve ourselves. And we've always turned the wrong way, and many people may say what we've experienced defines us, but vice versa it doesn't. It's how we choose defines us, because we all have a purpose, and you have to choose how you use it to achieve, accomplish, and redefine the odds. You are Imbewu, on your crown, and you've got this. Work hard, put in the effort, never let anyone judge you, and basketball for life.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our esteemed guests, our stakeholders who has joined us virtually on YouTube, Zoom, and Facebook. This is PeacePlayers South Africa's AGM. My name is Memuna Salim. I am the non-executive board member of PeacePlayers South Africa. I would like to just inform everybody that this session is being recorded for POPI Act. So if you are not happy about being recorded, you are welcome to leave the session. There will be a recorded session later on for you to watch. And for those who are staying on board, just remember that it will be like you granted us permission. I would also like to inform all participants to please write down your full names for registration purpose, and also a house rule. Please, can you keep your mic switched off just for not to disrupt the session? For everybody who would like to access the agenda, the minutes and previous minutes, and the annual report, please, there's a link on the chat that you'll be able to access it. If you cannot access it, please let us know on the chat so that we could send the link again. I would also like to inform all participants that there is a Q&A session at the end of the report reading. So if you want to ask any questions, if you have any comments, please, you're welcome to do so. Write it in the chat box of the Zoom and Facebook, and we will attend to that in due course. Without any further ado, I would like to hand over to our board chair, Mrs. Rita Misrachi.
Thank you so much, Maimuna. Welcome everyone from my side as well. I'm Rita Misrachi, the board chairperson of PeacePlayers South Africa, and very proudly so. I now declare our annual general meeting for the financial year 2021-2022 officially open. Apologies, we have Vasi Nayana and Slindile, excuse me, Ngunu, who have apologized, two of our board members who can't be here today, but we have received their proxies. And thus per our constitution, we have 6 out of 6 board members voting. So we have a quorum and we can start the meeting. The first order of business is the minutes of the previous AGM. I believe that these have already been shared with you all, and there's also a link in the chat for those minutes. If you're not able to access them, please let us know and we can always email them to you after the meeting. So having the directors all been through the minutes, I move for the acceptance of the previous minutes of the meeting.
I second.
If there's no objections, the motion is passed. We're also holding the AGM later as specified in our constitution, so I move for the board to condone the non-compliance as there's no prejudice suffered. There being no objections, the motion is passed. And then I'll straight jump into my report, being the apologies, the chairperson's report. It gives me great pleasure to report to our financial year running from July 2021 to June 2022. And I refer to my report in the AGM annual report on page 2, but would like to highlight some of it. You will find the annual general report with the link already shared, like Maimuna said, and you will note that I have focused more on the international perspective of the organization, while our executive directors will tell you more on what we have accomplished locally after me. We've gone from strength to strength in our mission to achieve our core values and bridge racial and socio-economic divides, creating a more peaceful South Africa for all. In January 2022, our highly accomplished new executive director, Dr. Alison Misselhorn, who you saw on the video just now, joined our family and brings a massive experience, new skills, and leadership knowledge to our organization. A huge welcome is extended to her, and she's already proven her worth over and over in the past year. I'm also thrilled to report that our core program, children and youths, mostly from Black and disadvantaged backgrounds, are more and more playing against more affluent and diverse schools, which creates the opportunity for these kids from vastly different cultures, races, and socioeconomic backgrounds to connect, play together, become friends, and learn about each other. After all, children who play together can learn to live together. I would also like to thank our senior management for their strides in improving our staff's conditions with new pay scales and personal development plans. We have also formalized our HR policies and will make these available to all our stakeholders on request. All our policies are in fact available to you as we highly value good corporate governance and transparency. Our new newsletters were published and shared. If you haven't yet, please sign up through our link on the last page of the annual report to stay up to date with all our activities. As you might already know, we are one of the sites of the PeacePlayers International, our parents' organization, along with the Middle East, Cyprus, Northern Ireland, and the USA sites. Serves as a hub for all of these sites. Internationally, in the past year, there's been packed with activities, not only to serve the sites, but also to strengthen the organizational culture and various committees with representatives from each site has created, furthering the global collaboration we are so proud of. The International Impact Report was also published, and a link to it is available in my report. This highlighted the monitored and evaluated changes we've affected all over the world, showcasing the amazing influence our global organization has had, evidencing our core values in action. In line with the goals set in the beginning of the year, priority 1 was to increase the value of the hub and the site's health. Phase 2 of the diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy was completed. We conducted global capacity building trainings, created a new fellowship strategy, and inducted 3 new global board members in order to provide greater geographic and demographic representation on our international board. We also hired a director of impact to lead the monitoring and evaluation team. In terms of priority 2, to expand the global initiatives, we've prepared for the first in-person friendship games and the Sports and Peace Collective, which was previously called SPIN, that was relaunched. This initiative takes care of all our international partners and we inducted an organization called Ubumwe, who is now our partner in Rwanda. We further launched the Leadership Academy, which was conceptualized by an international youth steering committee consisting of the young leaders who will benefit themselves. This program is aimed at our alumni participants after they finish school to equip them with the skills, resources, and networks to become effective adults and agents of change in institutions and their communities and reach their goals as they move into adulthood. In the current 2023 financial year, we will expand on and implement these priorities developed last year. We are further developing a multi-year financial plan to assist in raising multi-year funding to sustain the global programs I just mentioned, especially in these trying financial times. A huge highlight for me was the Friendship Games, which was planned during the financial year 2021 and was held in Israel in August in 2022, which we will report on more at the next AGM, because that falls into this financial year. Our leadership development participants shined in living their dedication to our core values and learned about foreign cultures, made friends from various different backgrounds to their own. They were truly grateful for this opportunity to travel abroad, many of them never having left KZN before. You can learn more about the Friendship Games on our website as well. We would like to thank all our partners and sponsors for their ongoing support and look forward to continuing these wonderful relationships. We are also especially thankful to all of you, the friends of PeacePlayers, who we could not do without. I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished in the past year and excited about what is to come. We thank you for making our journey possible, and I hope you'll join us for what's next. Thank you so much. I will now hand over to Alison to give us the Executive Director's report.
Thank you so much, Rita. I hope everyone can hear me. Yeah, thanks to Rita and to all of those who've taken the time to attend. It's amazing to see everybody here. It's lovely to have this happening at last. I hope all of you have managed to access our annual report. It should have been dropped into the chat, and it was also sent with the link to this meeting. My letter of address, as well as Rita's, is included in the annual report, along with program highlights, and of course all of that is available for you to look at your leisure. I have been with PeacePlayers only since January this year, and what a year it has been. So in terms of this financial year, I only experienced the second half of the 2022 financial year. It has been an amazing year, and those first 6 months were a real adventure of getting to know the organization and all the wonderful people I work with. There was a lot to learn, and there still is. There are many highlights that I can reflect on during that time, and just really far too many to go over in the context of an AGM as I talk to you. But the first two experiences I had with PeacePlayers in terms of engaging with the participants was the Live Village CSI event, which was held in partnership with the Department of Sports and Recreation, as it was called then. And a huge tournament of just kids engaging and playing together, an amazing experience. I was pretty blown away. It was very early on in my tenure. It was in February. And then in March was the Girls Basketball Fest, and you watched a little video of that at the beginning of, as people were coming into this meeting. I've worked in the development world for around 20 years in South Africa, and I honestly have never witnessed so many children and young people giving every bit of themselves to participate in a highly demanding day of games as well as life skills activities. I also got to chat to quite a few young female participants at that event, and was really moved by their determination to learn, to challenge themselves, and to become leaders of themselves, as well as of those around them and in their wider communities, as was so eloquently expressed actually in the video that you saw. These young people are able to not only express their dreams, but they have the confidence that they're going to achieve them, which is incredibly moving. I think it's a wonderful testament to the power of our positive mentorship and role modeling that we have in our programming. And it was a wonderful way to start my time with PeacePlayers. These young people are really learning to live out our core values. And those are briefly introduced in our annual report. There are three of those. It's seeing people as people. And that's about cultivating an outward mindset, honoring differences, recognizing the way systems of oppression objectify people or, I guess, dehumanize them. The second is developing a culture of collaboration. So in the face of conflict, we are committed to finding solutions that meet the needs of both parties. And the third is inside-out transformation. Just the recognition that change starts within. We cannot help others without looking inwards first, and we cannot work towards peace until we first do that and ask ourselves what assumptions we are making about the other. As I say in my letter, in the annual report, the words grace, courage, and resilience come to life at an event like the Girls Fest. And it is true to say that the work of PeacePlayers has many challenges. It's not easy work, but it is always rewarding because our participants seem to have this endless willingness to learn and to make a difference in their communities. They really want to bridge divides and make positive change a reality in South Africa. Another highlight that has afforded me insight into our programming was the Leadership Academy retreat. And at this retreat, our alumni, and those are people who are still connected to PeacePlayers South Africa, but have graduated in effect from the high school programming, were courageous enough to be vulnerable and to share many of their very personal life challenges. And this sharing was very helpful and powerful for all of us in understanding how PeacePlayers South Africa can better support our alumni in achieving their personal goals and their life goals, and also in becoming better leaders into adulthood. For me, in particular, an area of interest and expertise with my rather academic background is that of monitoring and evaluation, M&E, an area some find fascinating and others find daunting, but one that really is so important for not only our own learning as an organization as we develop our programming, but also to be able to more effectively demonstrate to our donors and to other stakeholders the extent of our impact. We have a wealth of qualitative evidence of impact. What is qualitative evidence? It's stories from our participants. It's the narratives, the anecdotes about how PeacePlayers has completely changed their lives, and we have a wealth of that evidence. But what we're really needing now is additional quantitative evidence, so numbers really, through surveys and analytical work. And this is what we're building locally and globally. And it's going to be really valuable as we now move beyond the M&E pilot of the calendar year 2022 and implement this further survey work in the calendar year 2023. Just reflecting on the year as well on a sadder note, again, as I say in my address in April, we also clearly remember, although sometimes we forget rather quickly as well, that KwaZulu-Natal was hit by severe flooding. And again, during this time, the courage and resilience of our communities was clearly evident. I was extremely proud that all our staff members, who were all affected negatively by the flooding, many had no power, no water for weeks, days and weeks. They never wavered in their commitment to their work and to helping those around them. It was another real pivotal moment for me in my early months with PeacePlayers. And we were also able to distribute food parcels and vouchers to some of those affected in partnership with the SFO office, which is the philanthropic arm of the SFO group. Looking ahead, we're working really hard to build our local fundraising base and to also diversify our fundraising strategies so that we're in a position to expand our programming, particularly looking into 2024, the calendar year 2024 and beyond. Currently, our ability to meet the need for our work is constrained really only by funding, as is probably ever and always in the nonprofit sector. Part of our program expansion will include reaching more children and youth from affluent, as well as Indian and white racial groups. And we really know that this diversification in our programming is an important foundation for greater impact in bridging divides in South Africa. Finally, I'm happy that heading towards the end of 2022, I really feel I'm in the right place to be able to keep challenging myself, to use my skills and my knowledge and gifts to improve the lives of others. And that because it is possible to do that only when you're in partnership with others, and you can't be effective without those partnerships, I'm very privileged to work with the committed and passionate people I've come to know and value. And that's PeacePlayers, my PeacePlayers local team and the global teams. Really very proud to be associated with PeacePlayers. So my gratitude goes out to my colleagues. And I also want to say a huge thank you to our board for their dedication and support and commitment. And of course, to our donor partners and our implementing partners, all the schools we work with, all the community-based organizations we work with. Without you, our work would be only a dream and not the reality that it is. When I wrote my annual report letter, one of our treasured and very active alumni, Sheldon Francis, who probably most of you, if not all of you know, shared with me, or with all of us, in fact, on our WhatsApp group, this brief quote. He simply said, 20 years ago, PeacePlayers showed me what family is, and that is why my family will always be part of PeacePlayers. And in fact, Sheldon's, there is a story on Sheldon in the annual report as well. So in closing, I'm truly proud to be part of this family. Yes, and I will now hand over to Naz Nasipi, who will share her report on partnerships and strategy and also go over some of the program highlights. Thank you, Naz. Naz, you're on mute.
Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, brilliant. I'll start over. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What an honor to be here with you this evening to report some of our activities in terms of programming that we've had in the financial year end 2022. I am so excited and pleased to see so many of our alumni, participants and former participants, even including donors and friends of PeacePlayers, are present in this meeting. So in my report, I'll just be going over briefly over some of the program activities, but also I'm sure you're asking yourself after our chair and executive director's report that what is the purpose of PeacePlayers? Why do we do what we do? And then I'll also touch on some of the highlights, activities and events that we have been up to this year. So as you know, that our theory of change at PeacePlayers is dedicated to uniting, educating and inspiring young leaders in divided communities through the power of sport. We realize that in order for young people to come together, we've seen the power of the sport of basketball. What happens when young people from Umlazi or from Wentworth or the city come together to learn about each other, to visit each other's communities and get to see this dream that we have of building a peaceful South Africa. As you know, our country is filled with a lot of challenges. That includes some inequalities that are very obvious, with 70% of children who are vulnerable, not only to poverty, but to numerous other stresses that include orphanhood, hunger, disabilities, gender-based violence, deep gender inequalities, and staggering levels of gender-based violence, as you've seen in the country, which we usually call it our new pandemic. On a daily basis, I think the current stats report that every 3 hours, a woman or a child is killed in South Africa through gender-based violence. The historical background to this base is heritage of apartheid division, which continues to yield not only racial conflict, but also entrenches disparities in wealth, health, and also education. So some of the challenges that we've seen, that the post-South Africa is currently rated as one of the most unequal country in the world by the World Bank. This should tell you that as much as we're trying to do the work that we're doing as PeacePlayers to bridge this divide and bring young people together, we are still faced with the challenges of seeing segregation through racism, through social, economic, and gender divides. The divides are self-reinforcing results in the internal cycling of inequalities and conflict. The majority are vulnerable and multiple stresses, including lack of access to education, livelihood, and with 64% of young adults, youth and young adults in South Africa that are currently unemployed, and 50% of the children that start school don't actually get an opportunity to finish school. So some of this report that I'm going through is in our report that you've received the link to. I'm going to go over to some of the expected outcomes, inputs that we have for our program. What we hope our program actually achieves through the sport of basketball is that the barriers to exclusion are dismantled, and physical, human, and social capital raises in a more peaceful, prosperous, and equitable society. Our program is not just a basketball program. Often enough, we receive people calling us to start basketball clubs into their communities, and we usually get back to them with what our mission is as peace players, what is our dedication to the society of South Africa. And these are our guiding pillars of how we do our programming that include basketball skills, life skills, and peace education, leadership pipeline, local ownership, and diversity. Later on, I will share with you some of the stats, especially around diversity. I'm sure you heard on Allison's report that we are trying to make sure that we're creating an inclusive programming where all South Africans have a space to interact, learn, and share their experiences. I'm going to go to some of our programming areas, our programming model. We work with youth from the ages of 9 to 18 between primary and high school. This is our weekly program that is delivered by our coaches, our sessional coaches that we hire on annual basis, and we train, and then they usually come from the communities where they work. Some of them are actually graduates of the schools where they're coaching now. And on twice a week, they will facilitate basketball life skills through basketball sessions. And then on weekly basis, they will take the participants to play in a cross-community peace league, to get to see other communities, which is a vice versa. Other communities also come to visit. For example, a team from Hillcrest or Harper Highway at Highbury will visit Umlazi, and Umlazi will visit Hillcrest, and across all the areas where we program. Our next program is the Leadership Development Program. This is self-explanatory, and this is really youth that are coming from our high school program between the ages of 14 to 18, who have a leadership-focused program based on our core values, and they attend this session on a monthly basis. And some of those guys, Ellison mentioned earlier, and Rita, the friendship games that you'll get to hear more about in the next AGM, because they happened this year. So some of our leadership development program participants actually participate in the Global Friendship Games, where they get to interact with other youth and peers from other Peace Players sites. Our leadership pipeline, we pride ourselves in ensuring that we see growth and retention within our Peace Players. People like me who grew up in the organization, seeing that now we have about 98% of our coaches who are actually products of our program, who come back to give back to our programs, and working as coaches in the schools and the community. So our coaches program is for youth between the ages of 8 to 25. These are paid sessional coaches who have dedicated their time in the heat, scorching heat in Durban and through the rain, who show up beyond just being a coach, but who are also youth mentors to develop these young people. We have area coordinators that are between the ages of 18 to 35. These area coordinators are also alumni of our program, who then go back to the communities. They help to manage the administration side of the programs. They train the coaches that are working in those communities, and then they make sure that all the grassroots operation is going as planned, and we are reaching the objectives that we've set up. I'm not going to touch on these two a lot because the ladies have already touched on them, the Leadership Academy. I think what I'll touch on more is that even though we've launched the Global Leadership Academy that is currently on pipeline, we're very proud to know that 5 of South African participants have made the global cohort, who are now have actually started working with other young people of their age from other Peace Players sites, who will receive internationally renowned accreditation, including mentorship by some of our alumni and other qualified professionals as well. And the hope for the Leadership Academy is that the young people are equipped with the skills that they need to be ready for the next level, whether it is university, working or any training that they need. As you heard already, the statistics around unemployment rates in the country. So we hope that those skills they learn, they will help themselves, their families, and their communities to move to the next level. So next year, I look out for more information around our local leadership academy. That's going to be focused on engaging more than just 5, but more of our alumni that is still interested to be a part of PeacePlayers, or who need a little bit of support to ensure that they reach their goals. Going into program highlights right now, and I think the first one, I am so proud. 5 of our coaches this year, they've graduated with KETSITA. They've received NQF Level 5 National Diploma of Sports Coaching Science. This is a great stepping stone around them, solidifying their pathways into the future to have an accredited training that is fully funded by KETSITA. And we thank our implementing partners, Physical IQ, who ensure that these guys, they did not only do the in-class work, but also they were doing practical work, including getting qualifications like the first aid that they can use within PeacePlayers or in the future when they move to other ventures. And I'm wrapping up. I want to touch on some of the successful cross-cutting events that we've had. I know Alison has already mentioned a few. The one partner that we had, often enough, we get calls across the country, across the continent. Actually, at this last citywide, we had a lady that rode a bus. Her name is Jacqueline from Zimbabwe, who got on a bus when she heard that we're hosting an event. She wanted to learn more about PeacePlayers, and she came to volunteer over 24 hours traveling by bus to Durban. So it's always good to see partners coming, not just within our program, but across the province, across the country, and across the borders as well. So Fight with Insight is a boxing organization that is based in Johannesburg inner city. They partnered with us in October last year to do a very necessary program over 2 days. It is called the Defender Project. And the idea of this project was to help to equip our youth with self-defense skills to hopefully help whenever, if they ever encounter gender-based violence or any conflict within their communities, at least they know what to do. This was a very successful program. And then the leadership camp that we hosted as well at Shongweni. If you've been a PeacePlayers for a while or you're a friend of PeacePlayers, you would know that we love Shongweni just because there's so many obstacles that equip our young people with the leadership skills that they need. This was a 3-day camp. You can read more details on the report. And then the CSI event that Alison already mentioned, we had that on the 19th of February, 2022. And then on March 12th, we hosted the Girls Basketball Festival. There's 2 events, the CSI event and the Girls Basketball Festival. We really have to thank the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, KZN, for supporting and ensuring that these programs were possible. They were a huge success. You can click on the links to see some recap videos of these videos. Of these events. We also relaunched a basketball court at Umlazi. Segelani Primary, we built the first basketball court that they had in 2001. So it felt great to be able to get the support from the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture to renovate the basketball court. And now the kids are able to play in a safe space. The 34th Citywide Tournament, you'll get to see the wrap-up video of that. This is one of the most incredible events at PeacePlayers, where 600 of our youth come together to play basketball, participate in life skills as well throughout the day. And the 34th Citywide was dedicated to social cohesion. The theme for the event was social cohesion and gender equity. And those were the skills and themes that we carry, a theme that we carry throughout the day. In Lamontville, it was good on the 6th of May to see some of our alumni come together who have been through our program, seeing some of the challenges that their community is faced with, seeing that our high school program team from Lamontville, they're not able to train because their basketball court was damaged. Our alumni, Tobani, Zigo, and some of our coaches and participants, they went in and renovated the court by themselves, painted the lines, and to ensure that they created a safe space for the next generation. And we're truly grateful for that. You can get the links to all of these events on the annual report that is on the that is attached on the link. In closing, I just want to touch on some of looking at our year at a glance, looking at some of our demographics. At PeacePlayers, we pride ourselves in ensuring that we're creating an inclusive and a safe space for all South Africans to coexist and help build a sustainable South Africa. Through this, we ensure that we saw that if we only focus as much as the Black communities, they are mostly disadvantaged. But if we only focus on that, then we are not seeking to a mission of bridging the racial divides across the country. So what we committed ourselves to doing is that we will match our racial demographics into what the nation is. So you'll see in the report, the South African national demographics, and you will see also the 2001 and 2002 comparison. And if you're looking at those numbers, you will see that we're very close to what the national demographics, we are almost mirroring what South Africa actually represents to ensure that we create a safe space for everyone. Also, in terms of our gender demographics, it is important to us that we create a safe space for both boys and girls. So our programs, we're always aiming for a 50-50 split. This year, we reach about 502 participants on our core programmings. On our report on page 10, you'll be able to see some of the schools that we work with divided by area. In the city, Wentworth, Lamontville, Umlazi, Molweni, Verulam and Cottonlands, and also Upper Highway. So that's where that 502 number of participants comes from. And then lastly, I will urge you to please go and read some of our incredible stories and testimonies that are coming from the ground. Some of them are from our alumni, like Olwe Tuva, to Braden Rutherford, and Sheldon Francis. And then there's also Lucy Mensa and Olwami Zungu, who are actually still current program participants. Olwami Zungu is doing his last year of high school, and you will get to hear more on his story as we'll be playing it later for him to share his testimony and some of his experience with PeacePlayers. I hope that was good, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if there's any questions, please note them. We'll come back and respond later. Again, the full details of this, or the brief report that I just gave you, they're on an annual report that is sent to you on the link. So please read thoroughly, especially the stories. They make me smile and cry all the time because they're really beautiful, and I'm really proud of our young leaders to see how they continue to thrive within and outside of PeacePlayers. And someone like Sheldon, who has his own organization, Children of the Have a Dream, to see him implement some of the lessons from PeacePlayers into his community. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. And I will pass it over to Alison.
Thanks, Naz. That was great. Thanks very much. So hello again. I think you've probably gathered that I'm presenting on behalf of our board treasurer, who sadly cannot join us this evening. And I was thinking while Naz was talking that the fact that 2 of our board members cannot participate because we are experiencing power outages is a live example of the kind of economic challenges we're facing in South Africa, which have become normalized for those South Africans listening in, but actually really further compromise livelihoods and make things difficult across the country. So I'm just going to give a brief report on our financials. All of this is, of course, available in the annual report and in our annual financial statements, which are on our website. The link to those are on our website. And any questions as well, we can field here or after the meeting. Our 2022 fiscal year ended with a surplus of 670,000 Rand compared to 270,000 Rand for the previous financial year. And there were a number of contributing factors to that surplus. We received a total of rounded up 4.36 million Rands in funding income during the 2022 financial year. Over 80% of that, nearly 85% of that, in fact, came from our global parent organization, PeacePlayers US. An amount of 3.6 or so million Rand came from PeacePlayers US. We also received grant income from Laureus, Sport for Good rather, Foundation, grant income from KZN Department of Sports and Recreation, as it was called up until recently, from CASITA, from National Lotteries, KZN Humanitarian Aid, and we received other donation income as well. All of that is detailed in the financials. There were a number of other gains and losses, consisting of forex losses because of the exchange rate, and also a small gain from the sale of a PeacePlayers vehicle. Just to highlight some of the pertinent areas of increased expenditure in the last financial year, the operating costs increased by around 105%, which of course is a big figure, but this was really due to the fact that programming resumed after the hiatus of COVID. So PeacePlayers was then able to host a few basketball tournaments and in-person games, which of course increased operating costs considerably. So we were back to not quite full operation, but we were back in operation rather than virtual games. We also had an increase of 19% in our administration costs. Those are kind of specific across the cost areas from year to year, so you'd have to look at the financials for that. Our consulting fees also increased by 51%. We received additional support with legal and finance, and also support in hiring myself as new executive director on the consulting front. Employee costs went up by 19%. This was largely because we had substantial staff increases implemented at the beginning of the calendar year. So in January, our staff received a substantial financial salary increase, which we were very happy to be able to do. It was more in line with the sector norms. Our insurances went up by 58%. This was in large part due to the fact that we were again in operations, so we had to run liability insurance for our basketball events. And then we also moved premises, and facility rental for those same games and tournaments took place. So lease rentals went up by 76%. Just to note that there was no capital expenditure during the 22 financial year. And then at the end of the financial year, our cash balance was sitting at a healthy just over 1 million rand. Again, that's detailed in the AFS and the annual report. In closing, our treasurer asked me to express her gratitude to our donors in particular for our financial situation, as well as to all the other stakeholders, the board, management, staff of PeacePlayers for contributions and their dedication. So thanks once again to all of you. And I believe I need to hand over to Rita.
Thank you so much, Alison. The bugs seem to have creeped in and I can't start my video for some reason. So you'll just have to listen to my lovely voice. I need to take care of some more formal points of business right now. So I move to appoint Turning Point Consultants as the auditors for the next financial year. We've had a very good experience with them. Can I have a second, please?
I second, it's Memuna.
There being no objections, I confirm the appointment, excuse me, of Turning Point Consulting as our auditors for the 2022-2023 financial year. Also, retrospectively, even though she's been with us for a year already, I'd like to move for the appointment of Alison Misselhorn as the Executive Director and new Executive Board Member. Can I please have a second?
I second, it's Memuna.
There being no objections, I pass the resolution. Thank you very much. I now hand over to Nasipi for the question and answer session.
Hello, everyone. I am back. I was looking through the chat with hope that there will be some questions. We have We are currently streaming live on Facebook and also on YouTube. I would like to check with my colleagues, Tobani and Anisha, if there's any questions that are coming from those platforms, including also on Zoom.
We have no questions so far here on Zoom. Not sure, Anisha, on your side on Facebook?
No questions on Facebook currently.
All right. This means that we are doing a great job of reporting. It's quite detailed that people don't need to ask questions. So I'd like to open the floor now to everyone that is on the call. If there are any questions that you would like to ask our board members while we are here on this call pertaining some of the reports that we have shared this evening. So maybe if you can raise your hand or put the question on the box so that the tech team can unmute you to ask your question. Few more seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if there are no further questions, we'll close the Q&A session. But if any other question comes to mind on a later stage, please feel free to contact us. Our contact details are on the annual report that has been shared with you via email, or you can call our office to further ask the questions. Also, these reports will be available on our website as well. On a later stage, you'll be able to view these, including detailed financial reports as well. They'll be posted on our website, and you will catch this recording on Zoom, on YouTube later on if you would like to refer and maybe a question might pop up. Thank you so much for your time. I would like now to introduce our testimony video, which is one of our incredible participants from Pietermaritzburg. His name is Olwami Zungu. You would have seen his story already on the annual report, where he talks about PeacePlayers' contribution and his contribution into him becoming the leader that he is. I'm really proud that Olwami has been an outstanding leader since he joined our program in 2019. He's even now a part of our Global Leadership Academy member. He's one of the 5 participants that made the Global Leadership Academy. He has donated shoes. He's realized the scarcity of proper playing gear for some of our participants. And he went to his family and friends to see if he can collect shoes that he can donate to some of our participants. He's brought those at some of our events like the Citywide Tournament. So I will just give you an opportunity to listen to a brief of his story and as he shares PeacePlayers' journey with us. Thank you.
the atmosphere is an atmosphere where everybody is allowed to connect with one another, despite of your racial background, religion, which school you come from, or where you come from. Everybody's just able to connect. Everybody just smile. Everybody feels together through the game of basketball. And my favorite moment from that day was when I was actually given my graduation ticket, our certificate, right? The reason why that's my favorite is because it made me self-reflect on the journey that I've actually taken to become such a great leader I define myself to be. I still got more to learn, but to think that PeacePlayers had built me in such a way that I am so proud and other people are proud of me, like my parents, and my peers and my teachers, and to think that they were the ones that actually helped me and made me realize that, hey, yo, there's a greater me. That just became a sentimental moment to me. And the reason why I felt inspired to donate shoes was because of how I see low young people, girls and boys, they're able to play with their bare feet, like when it's like very, very hot, and they're playing on concrete, and instead of them crying about how hot it is and how their feet are getting damaged, you see smiles on their faces, and that alone is just for me, it was heartbreaking to see that, because I felt like I did not appreciate my life and what I have in my life, because I have shoes. I don't need to complain about my feet getting damaged, but I'll always have something to complain about. I'll always try to find something to complain about. Oh, the heat is too much. Oh, the hoop is like this. So seeing them as young as they are and playing with the passion and happiness and not necessarily feeling the need to complain and actually appreciate what I have just moved me, just moved something in me, and thought maybe with the little that I have, it could make a big difference to the environment and to these kids. So I tried to call people, my family, friends, relatives, anybody that was able and possible to help, and that's where I got the help from. Because, yo, everybody needs somebody. Umuntu, ngabantu. Yes, it has actually, because I feel like it just made me think out of the box of like the situations that we actually face in South Africa, and realizing that even though we are children that come from different sides and countries, we actually face the same problems and go through the same things, like making us all human end of the day. So my mindset has changed in a big way, very big way. I think collaboration or culture, like there was this one time where I actually did a presentation about culture, right? So those were days where I actually know. But what I said is that PeacePlayers is a culture on its own, right? Culture is something that's created by people that live in that present moment. And I feel like we should carry on. I won't say this is the first friendship games, but after COVID, it's been like a new era for everybody. So like we've created a culture, and I hope that we can actually be able to grow that culture even though we are distant, but truly, soulfully, and in our hearts we are like bonded together.
That's it for the game. Taking those tough 3-pointers wasn't working out the entire game. The percentage was pretty low, so you couldn't go to that bag of tricks to finish off this game.
Yeah, so PPR just the first 2 quarters they sort of
Apologies there for the destruction of the video. And the reason actually why we pre-recorded would have been ideal to have Olwami here share his story. But because of the upgrade to stage 6 load shedding currently and a lot of power cuts across the city, we thought that instead of not having him here at all, it might be better to just put something together from some of his highlights and elements in his program. Hopefully some of you will get to meet him, and more stories around him and other participants will continue to share those, so you can get to really see the impact that our program has had in their lives, but mostly how they're actually elevating that into their lives, into their families, communities, and as they go to universities or to workspaces, how do they carry themselves to really and carry the banner of the PeacePlayers mission. So with all of that said, we have actually come to a closing of our meeting. I would like to start with a vote of thanks. First, thanking you all for being here this evening with us. But some of the work that you've seen presented today, including the financials, they would have not been possible to present you today without the assistance of Turning Point. So thank you, Turning Point, for preparing our financials. Thank you also to Piscalas Creatives that prepared our annual report, our beautiful annual reports that I hope you maximize and get to use to learn more about the work that we do. We would like to thank our schools and teams that we're working with in the communities. Some of these schools have been with us since 2001, and there's some new schools that have joined more recently, but it's been great to see schools from a city like Carrington Primary, Glenmore Primary, Berea Primary, Eddington Primary, Brittonwood High School, and the inner city team, community team that are still engaged. In Wentworth, we have Essegai Primary, Fairvale Secondary School that are still engaged. Lamontville, we have Bega Pambili Primary, Bantu Vugani Primary, and the Lamontville Community Team. In Umlazi, we have Tobezela Primary, Segelani Primary, Suguma Primary, MT20 Primary, and Umlazi West Community Team, which is a high school team. In Molweni, we are at Bazamile Primary, Lamula Primary, and we have Molweni community team that is also consists of participants. In Verulam, in the Cottonlands community, we work with Live Village. We've partnered with an organization called Live Village. They work with orphanage youth to offer them great support and services through school and homes within the village. We work with their primary and high school teams. And then in the Upper Highway, we work with Highbury Preparatory School, who has been our partner, former partners now, I think, for 3 to 4 years, probably 4 years now, but we've been friends with them for over 18 years, and it's really good to see parents driving through Umlazi to drop off participants for games, and also our participants getting to visit Highbury to play. We hope that we can extend these partners, new partners with schools and communities in the coming year as well. None of this work would be possible without some of our partners, including PeacePlayers Global, Laureate Sport for Good Foundation South Africa, Sport for Social Change Network Africa, AT&T, the KZN Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, National Lotteries Commission, Child Welfare Durban District, and many other media outlets that have featured our work on newspapers, TV, and radio in this previous financial year. Unfortunately, we're not able to list everyone, but you'll see in the last pages of our annual reports, we list, there's logos from some of our supporters, including the very important individual donors, and majority of our individual donors are actually our alumni. Some of them have been international fellows. Actually, some of them are here on this call. So thank you, we greatly appreciate your support. I would like to extend our great thanks to our staff, our team that works tirelessly hard to make this possible, our board of directors, our coaches who are the implementers of this program coming from these communities. We truly appreciate your contribution, and we know that it will never happen without you. Would like to also extend our great thanks to schools, school governing bodies, the communities that we're working with, and some of the volunteers that might have never experienced PeacePlayers, but through seeing the power of our program and the difference that it's making in their communities, they show up to volunteer and support us. We truly are honored to have you in our program. So I'd like to pass the mic now to Rita, who will do our closing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nasibi. Before I close the meeting formally, I saw Sarah Fraser Matembo came through with a question here, which I think is very, very important for us to answer at this point. And Naz, I think you'd be best suited to answer this question. What are the current and future plans for continuing to diversify the participant base from a racial perspective to include more participants from Indian, white, colored, and more rural communities?
Excellent question, and I am definitely the perfect person to answer. Hello, Sarah, and congratulations. They just had a new baby. So good to have you guys join us in this meeting. So as I mentioned when I went through our demographics, that our goal as an organization is to diversify our program to ensure that it matches the national racial demographics. At the moment, we are not too far off, and we have plans for next year. Currently, we have 3 areas, especially in the affluent communities, that 3 schools that might probably be joining our programs next year. We're just waiting to confirm and sign memorandum of understandings. We'll announce those in the new year if they are joining our program. Majority of our program, as you can see, is based mostly in townships and also some schools in the city and also in the rural Molweni. Our expansion strategy, because of the type of work that PeacePlayers does, we're very big on impact program, ensuring that we're creating sustainable programs working with the community. So how we plan to expand our reach across the country is by partnering with other existing organizations, let's say in Johannesburg or in Cape Town, where we can share skills through technical assistance, find ways that we can share our methodology or whatever needs that they may have to ensure that once PeacePlayers is not in that program, in that community, the community is still continues to be served. They are still able to run and manage programs on their own, because the people from the community will understand the community better than us. So next year, possibly next year, we might be partnering with some schools in the Upper Highway, in the south coast of KZN, and also there's a few schools in Balito as well that we're hoping to reach out to. Every day we're receiving calls and emails. So this is a continuous conversation, but which is very high priority on our list to ensure that the national demographics are reflecting through our program in order for us to do the work that is required to build a peaceful South Africa. Thank you, Sarah. I hope I've answered.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nasibi.
Yeah, we still
Nasibi,
have time, Rita. If there's more questions, maybe we can go over them in case some came late, maybe. Sorry, I have not been looking at the chat.
Sheldon Francis said, I've had a meeting with 2 schools in Verulam, hoping in 2023 there will be more Indian schools on the program.
Definitely, Sheldon. Sheldon is our alumni, who is also my strategy thinker buddy. I often reach out to him when there are challenges, especially around programming, because of his passion for PeacePlayers. And we've actually visited a program together, the Boys and Girls Club in Verulam this year. And Sheldon, that is still a continuous conversation. We are looking to add more Indian schools, especially being in KwaZulu-Natal as well. So we'll keep you posted.
I don't see any further questions on Zoom. Anisha has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Rita. A question came in from Facebook. Let me just read out the name for you. It's from Sanele Majosi, and he is asking, is there a plan for participants to join the PeacePlayers program whereby they're not based in certain schools that we work in? he says, for an example, is there a way for one to join the program without being part of any schools that we work in? So it's like, can anyone join individually?
Should I take this one?
Yes,
I feel
please
like
go ahead,
oh,
Naz.
great. Definitely, Mr. Majosi. We have, if you look through our reports, so all the schools that are written, for example, Umlazi, West, those are community team, or inner city, those are community team. It's participants that are coming from a collective of schools within that area. Because we couldn't afford to have a program in each of the schools, then we have a community team that an individual who is interested in our program can join. So I would urge you to reach out to us. The usual questions that we ask is, where are you based? And to see the feasibility of you being able to join a team to ensure that your travel safe from school, because our program is an after-school program. So to want to make sure that you're able to make it to practice, also get home safe. So please reach out to us with your details and we'll be able to advise you further. So please reach out to us with your details.
Thanks, Ness. One more question from here. We have a question from Knowles. She says, we are based in Pietermaritzburg and we would like to know how to get assistance. We work with multiple schools and we'll look to expand our program.
And sorry, Tobani, who is the question from?
It's Knowles, N-O-L-S.
In Pietermaritzburg. Okay, Knowles, I would just urge you to reach out to me. If you just email sa@peaceplayers.org, I'll be able to get your email. I'll just have to find out where are you based in Pietermaritzburg and what exactly that you're trying to do. Our work, how we implement our work at PeacePlayers is it's designed for that community. So there's always a need for needs analysis, or there might be a need to hear what you would like assistance with. And if we're able to, we always reach out to assist. And as I've mentioned before, through our technical assistance, we're able to partner with schools and communities with the projects that they might already be running in those communities, and just offer whatever support that they need if we're able to, or share some of the resources that we might have if we have additional resources. And sometimes we're able to connect them with other partners within their communities who might be able to offer them support, and then we can help with the technical side, whether it's training coaches or developing a curriculum. So please reach out to me and I will be able to assist.
We've got another question here on Zoom, Naz, which you can also take. Is PeacePlayers more than just a basketball club? With a smiley face.
Yes, it is. That's a brilliant question. And it's a very important question. We are more than just basketball. We actually use the sport of basketball as a catalyst to facilitate life skills in our core curriculum, core values curriculum as well. So basketball is honestly just a vehicle that helps it, that makes it easy. And maybe to add to your question, I was recently doing an interview and someone asked me why basketball and not soccer. So as you might know that PeacePlayers, where we do our work as an organization, we work in either conflicted or post-conflicted countries. And what conflict actually creates is sometimes there's tension with different sides, whether it's different races, different religion. As you might know, with our other sites in Northern Ireland, Cyprus, Middle East, and in the US. So what's always best is when you're trying to bring people together, you need to find a common ground, a place where everyone is curious, everyone feels safe. And the sport of basketball has been that tool for us, where people of different races, different ages are able to come together out of curiosity, and they end up staying at PeacePlayers. Usually we have a saying that says, once a peace player is always a peace player, because you can never really leave. So it's a great question. Yes, we are more than basketball. We're a sports plus organization.
All right. Any further questions from any of the other streaming sites?
No questions from Facebook. Thank you. There's actually one more question that just came in from Zoom. Jacques, if I'm saying it well, is asking, how can we partner with you here in Zimbabwe? How can you assist?
Shall I take that, Rita?
Sure.
Thank you, Ellison.
Naz's voice is getting tired. I think it's probably Jackie. Thanks so much for that question. We're forever and always hoping to expand our impact beyond the borders of South Africa. So, Jackie, I would really just urge you again to reach out to myself or Naz. Naz did mention the email address essay@peaceplayers.org. Or if you go onto our website, I'll drop it into the chat as well here after I've spoken. Reach out to us and let's explore what you're doing, what we are doing, and look for ways to partner. As everyone always, things are constrained by funding, but that doesn't mean we can't find other ways to work together. So please do reach out to us.
I think that we can call an end now to the Q&A session. I see Alison has just put the essay@peaceplayers.org email address on the chat. So if there's any further questions, please, we absolutely 100% invite you to send us questions. We are very happy to answer them. And we're very happy to collaborate, as Naz and Alison have stated. All right, then at 7:15, I now declare the AGM for the 2021-2022 financial year officially closed. Please stay tuned for a nice video of the 34th citywide tournament.